Hey guys, welcome back to the Sensitivity Doctor. Today I have my fellow co-author, Gina Cavalier, on to celebrate her newest book, Planet Walking. It's a 6-week program to help those struggling with suicidal ideation. And today we're unpacking what it means to belong and what happens when we don't feel that we belong with others or maybe even on this earth. For that reason, I do want to give you a bit of a warning that we do talk about some really tough topics, but we also talk about hope. And not only that, Gina is going to give you a little cherry on top at the end of the episode with this beautiful meditation with, I want to say she called it color washing. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and listen to what I said or what she was saying. But I don't know. It's such a great conversation. And of course, I have to sprinkle in a little neuroscience to explore some of the reasons we need to be with others. And I'm hoping that maybe you hear a little something that either you haven't heard in a while or you haven't thought about that might give you a little hope and a little meaning on your journey to belong and to overcome your own struggles, traumas, or potentially even suicidal ideation. Let this be the episode that pulls you out and lets you know that we want you here, you matter, and you belong here, just like every single one of us. Enjoy. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. I haven't seen you in forever.
I know, right?
Like a book ago, right?
A book ago.
So yeah, I need an update on like how you're doing. For anyone who is just tuning in to the beginning of the episode, we know each other well because we wrote a book together.
We really did, yes.
So, yeah, like really together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need an update on how you've been. You've moved. You wrote a new book.
Oh my gosh, you got it.
It's beautiful. I got it. Look, I'm going to do my ASMR.
It's so cute. Thank you.
Little clackety clack on it. Yeah, it's really pretty. And it actually goes really nicely with our other one, like aesthetically.
I know, right?
So yeah, give us the down low. How have you been?
It's been kind of, I tell people like when you go down the spiritual route or where you just become an open vessel, you're going to experience a lot of things, in and out and up and down because you're open and you're not in that resistance phase as much anymore. So what that brings is just change in your life. But, hopefully you have the tools that will kind of help you through each one of those things. And for example, last week, I have 2 15-year-old companion dogs, and one passed on a Sunday. And then a couple days later, my book came out, and my second dog passed the day after that. So it was like just a week of,
my God.
It was, and they weren't even sick, and they were older, but
Gina, I'm so sorry.
They just went together, and it was it feels like they planned it, not me. There's nothing that I could have done with it. They knew that I was in a place that was safe now, and in a good place. I feel like, they're just these spiritual, sensitive beings that were like, you're in a good enough space for us to kind of pass this way, and we want to go together. And so, it's just, again, going back to, life is full of these twists and turns, and it's the adventure and the journey and who you're doing it with and where you're aligning yourself with people and trying to learn and grow in the moment and, allowing yourself to feel all the emotions as well, but taking care of yourself that you don't go down too negatively in one area and just really protecting yourself because,
Well, I mean, that is such a testament of how, and it's different for everyone, but I know for you how huge your spirituality is and how like it truly is such a beautiful protective factor for you. Like it's everything. I'm curious. So, okay, I'm trying to think of which direction we want to go today because my brain, when I see you, I think surviving suicidal ideation from therapy to spirituality. Like I think of our book and how we had tried to speak directly to people who were suffering, but you have created this book, Planet Walking, a handbook for the living. And something I really loved from it that I wanted to take from it, like when I was trying to think like what part of the book is going to mean, I think, the most to people listening at the beginning of the year, who maybe are not feeling their best or they want to feel their best. The thing that I really loved about your book was how much you focused on
Mm.
belonging. And not necessarily we all need to have, 15 friends on the speed dial, but how do we feel like we matter? How do we feel like we are part of something or someone
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
general? So can you start with that?
I always have to start with yourself. Number one, really just, doing practices of loving yourself, hugging yourself, being kind to yourself. Watch your thoughts, watch how things affect you, and then letting them wash over you and doing kind gestures, whether it's tapping or some kind of emotion. Because if you, and then when you get to a good point and recognize that you want to share your life with other people, just really welcoming those souls in and trying to do it less judgmental and with less judgment and criticism, as in, well, this person has this and this person does this and they're different than me. And it's only creating separation energy. And recognize that wouldn't the world be really kind of not fun if we were all exactly the same? And embracing whatever
Yeah.
thing that you might think is not you or align with you. And don't let it bother you. And this is something I think is really important as we become a divisive community. When we're talking about spirituality or politics or anything else, it's like, let that person be
Mhm.
their person, let yourself be your person. At the same time, setting healthy boundaries that, if it is affecting your energy with a conversation or something, saying, hey, I prefer not to have those kind of conversations. There's no judgment, just,
Mhm.
and it does make you feel better when you can actually safely say those things and set those boundaries. And I think people that have a lot of trauma, like I did, we became people pleasers and we would never speak our mind because we're too afraid of the reactions. And that's just a time in your life when you're like, wow, I've overcome some barriers where I can stand up for myself now or do it in a way that's calm as well. And but bringing in community is, we're not meant to be alone. Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, even it makes so much sense when you even think of just from a survival standpoint. Like we become I remember I was speaking to a reporter about I think it was not I'm like, what are all the terms? Gaslighting, love bombing. I think it was stonewalling, that's what it was. And they were very surprised when I let them know that stonewalling, which is, the action of just ignoring the person, it could be through silent treatment, it could be ignoring them by not looking at them, it could be leaving them out of things purposefully. It actually causes a negative immune
Oh, really?
response in the body of the person who's being stonewalled. So you can actually make someone sick through stonewalling
Mm.
them. So while it might seem like, well, they're just ignoring me or they're just, they just do that. They just don't talk to me for 2 or 3 days when they're mad. That's just what they do, how they're trying to figure themselves out. They're actually making you sick because from a tribal standpoint, from a biological standpoint, our bodies aren't meant to be isolated. So when we are isolated like that, it's a threat.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It used to hurt me so much. And I used to try to do anything I could to kind of bring that person back into my sphere, like go get them flowers or write them a little card. And then when they would ignore me again, I would just really sit in this self pity of that. And that energy is so painful. That's the energy that leads you to self-harm or a suicidal ideation, and just you can't help but think, well, what's wrong with me, especially if you haven't healed some things. So yes, and you know what, people don't talk about stonewalling hardly at all. I mean, I haven't heard that word in a long time.
Mhm.
you know
Mhm. I believe it's Gottman. I believe he was the one that coined it in couples counseling, but it's something that can happen in so many different forms. I mean, if you think about it, stonewalling can even be a form of gaslighting when you're trying to control someone by confusing them. So maybe you express an emotion to someone or you set a boundary, like you were saying. And as a response, the person you love says, like, you're too much, you feel too much, you are too much. And then they ignore you.
And I get that
So
from
that
everybody. I
you
used to get that
what?
from everybody because I was like an open vessel even when I was suffering, and when I would get that all the time, and so that really reinforced that, something's wrong with me, and I'm not normal, and, and then I go back to, well, it's probably because I had a bad childhood, and why did I get the bad childhood, and then it throws them into a spiral, and it's, you know, when you really learn how you're affecting other people's lives and you think about like this kind of thing, like, have I ever done that to someone? I'm thinking about it now as well. It's like, do you really want that person to feel that way? And is it worth it? It's not really usually worth it.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you ever heard of the interpersonal theory of suicide by okay, so Thomas Joyner. Have you heard of the interpersonal theory of
Yes.
suicide? Right. Okay. And so a big component of that is this idea of thwarted belonging.
Mm.
Yeah. So how would you think that this sense of not belonging is such a catalyst for folks when it comes to
Oh my
suicidal
God.
thoughts? And why is it so
I
important to
almost would
you?
throw that up to almost number one in some senses. Because if you feel like you belong
Yeah.
somewhere, a lot of the things that are taking you down different roads, you will still have moments of this bright spot if you're belonging. I feel like a lot of people, you'll see them moving a lot to different states or different things. They're constantly trying to find a home. It's going to be a different when they get to set up all over again. Like, I'm going to start my life all over, and then it just follows them no matter where they go. Um, and so then that just almost reinforces that I don't belong here. It's not meant for me. And I always say that every single soul has a purpose, whether you're, and this is not like a religious thing or a spiritual thing, if that's not something some resonates with someone, because I know there's like atheists too, but you still have a purpose. We all have a purpose here. And if, it's our goal to stay here, follow through and find out what that is, and let that wash over us, and take it on. And I don't know, like in my journey, of being able to speak about my truthful feelings about what I went through and how I healed it, it's welcomed so many other people like yourself that I've gotten to meet. And I had no idea that I was going to build a community around my pain in such a positive way. And so when you're in it, it is very hard to see that there's a potential that the pain can even serve you later, you know? And
Yeah.
that's why I like to
Mhm.
tell people that it's like my pain now, my old pain is now serving me in the best ways possible. It's giving me the ability to make an income. It's bringing more positive, interesting conversations into my life, interesting people into my life. It's really, so you never know what that pain is there for. It might be to just wake you up, take you in a different road. Look at it, why it's there. Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, really, when I hear you say that, it just speaks so strongly of like this idea of post-traumatic growth and how what you go through can be the beautiful parts of what you have to offer others and then what you can also offer within yourself
Yeah.
again. I'm curious when you think about back when, and you haven't even named it in this episode, when you say how you used to suffer, you're saying that you yourself,
Yeah.
I'll let you speak for yourself.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I had a deep, through different traumas, and feeling like I hadn't had support by my community and family or anything like that. I built up a disconnection to myself and everything. And I would say I was definitely like a person that thrived in self-pity. So it was really easy. And I think that a lot of people do this now because of the comparison, because of social media. This was sort of, I mean, I started this before social media, but even when social media came out, it was like, oh my gosh, like they have this great family and they have everything. And I'm alone. Nobody understands me, or X, Y, and Z, just go down the list. And so you create this separateness that you don't belong here, and that, you know, that you should depart, and you just really want the suffering to stop, the pain to stop, and everybody feels it differently. I think I'm very physical in my expression, so I feel it physically. I felt heavy. I feel just lethargic. I started getting chronic fatigue syndrome. Actually, when I healed my suicidal ideation, my chronic fatigue also started going away. It was linked, you know.
I can
Yeah,
see
and
that.
that's really
Hmm.
not something a lot of people talk about, but you can create illnesses from your, you know what I mean? Your body is reacting to
100%. And I mean, there is science that backs up what you're saying. This is not just an idea, but everything from brain inflammation to the way that we are able to metabolize, the way that we're able to fight infections, the way that we are able to repair. And we go to sleep at night and our brain is meant to discharge and get rid of all the old junk, but when you're going to sleep with that heaviness and the trauma comes with you to bed and the brain inflammation comes with you to bed, it's really difficult for your brain to do what it needs to do. So I mean, we all talk about serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, all of this. They matter because they are absolutely connected to our emotional, physical experience. Emotional and physical experience is one thing, it's
yeah,
not separate. So I wholeheartedly believe you when you say, when I felt my suicidal thoughts lifting, I felt my chronic fatigue
yeah.
lifting. It makes
Yeah, and
sense.
also you want to do different things. You want to like go on walks or get back into physical activity, and slowly that stuff will go away. And I always tell people that our brain is really awesome at doing its job, which is really just being a supercomputer. And
When we get out of its way to let
yeah,
it do its job.
but you would know more than I do about this, but I imagine that our brain was the reason why we stay in the past is because it wants to remind us, like, don't eat that berry, or don't fall off that
Yes.
ledge. So it's trained to remember traumatic things. But we were only living like 20 or 30 years old at that time. But now we're living in our 80s and 90s and things like that. It's our brain is saying, yeah, you remember that bad relationship? Maybe, and then you start to take the emotions of that on. So what I've really trained myself to do is, when those past things come up, disconnect the emotion. It's like the memory's still there, and I almost can kind of chuckle at it. I really, if I start to feel something, I really actually just say, no, let's not bring in that emotion. Yeah, okay, I learned some things from that. I sometimes will process again the feelings of that past event. But I really learned how to disconnect the emotion and then just say, okay, thanks for coming in to say hi. It's time to go. And
I love
that's
I love that because you're not telling people don't think the emotions. You're not telling people just stop. Like you should be able to eradicate every negativity bias moment that you're ever going to have. No, we're human. It's normal. The emotions are going to come up, the memories are going to come up. There's specific, do you have this experience? I have specific memories that come up. Like at night, I sing to my kids at night before they go to bed still. And probably gonna be doing it for my daughter when she's in college. I'll, like, show up at her dorm room. "You ready? This little light of mine." No, I'm just kidding. But, so sometimes when I sing a certain song, the same images always come up, like a random image. Like, there's this one song I sang that this shopping center in my town comes up in my head, or another song I sang that the garage in my old house comes up in my head. Like there's these weird associations our brain makes that just get really reinforced for some reason. And sometimes that happens with past trauma and negativity and things we don't want to
Mhm.
feel. And so I love what you're saying because you're not saying just
Mhm.
stop it. You're saying when it comes up, you don't need to over attach to it. You don't need to try to fix it. You don't need to be mad that it's coming up. You just witness it. That's something I've always loved that you do is you're very um probably because you're so visual, you're very able to kind of put your feelings up on like a stage, like you're watching it like
Yeah.
in a play. I've
Oh,
noticed
really?
you do
That's
that.
amazing. I've even gotten to the part where I bring in the person because it's usually related to people, right? And I just say, hey, I send you love and I thank you for the lesson I learned from you and with you. And you know, I'm detaching the the emotion that I had with it, and I just wish you well and thank you. I learned a lot from that, and I actually say that like in my head or out loud, and it just proofs like the really painful energy, and I feel like it sends them a good bump too, and um, even if it was really traumatic, like that you affected their life too. And I think that we get really stuck in our head on how it affected us. Um,
Mm,
and I
mhm.
think that it is good to remember that we also affect other people and that we're in other people's minds and memories. And we don't really think about that very often.
You're right.
It's
Yeah,
very interesting,
that's
and then
true.
I really try to look at that too and say, oh, that person probably is thinking about me too. So yeah, it's really weird how we're not set up to do that very often, to think about the other. Yeah.
Well, and I love what you were saying. It reminds me of the how do you pronounce it? The it's like a Hawaiian
Oh,
meditation you had put in our
yeah,
first book. What is
Ho'oponopono.
it?
Ho'oponopono.
Thank you. Because I would not. I still to when I read it, I'm like Huakapani, and I, I don't know what it was. But that I remember that and meta
Mhm.
meditation. I think were the two that we were talking about a lot. That both have that kind of like well wishing energy for other people.
It works so much. Sometimes I'll write it out if I can't get the words out, if I'm really in a space.
Hmm.
I'm I have even in meetings, if you have like people who has resistance towards your and because you have different personalities, I'll just start to say it. I don't know, it just really does change the energy inside of you, and then everybody else feels that way too. It's just I've become a really good I'm really proud of the way that I'm able to like I still have a lot of change constantly happening to me, and instead of like saying, oh, I'm in chaos, which somebody else would say you're in chaos, I'm just I welcome change because I think I've chosen a journey to expand, and that's what I'm going to get. And yeah.
I love that reframe. It actually, the session I had literally right
Okay.
before you. So I had a therapy session right before you. Is a cop that I
Uh-huh.
work with who sees a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. And we've kind of compartmentalized, and they're like on the streets. They're not just like, I have cops that I work with in my area who are like in different facets. Some are in the courts, some are
Yeah.
in schools, but this one is like on the streets. So we've kind of compartmentalized that is going to be the crazy stories. Like those are the
Okay.
crazy stories. But what we've recognized is that when they come to session and they're telling me just a normal everyday story, like something that really doesn't have to have a lot of emotional charge, they were still putting a lot of emotional charge into it. And so this last session, they like literally 30 minutes ago, they had said, I just have so much going on. And I said, okay, hold on. You're a creative writer, my client. I want to ask you to retell me the story you just told me, but as a creative writer
Mhm.
who is trying to make the story less interesting.
Love it.
And it worked so
Yeah.
well. It was amazing. I could see their facial expression changed, their breathing changed, and it went from there's this really intense thing happening to, well, like a lot of people have this thing. It was night
Yeah.
and day. So it reminds me of what you're saying, that if we attach too much story, too much energy to
Mm-hmm.
something, that's what we read. That's how we
Yes.
respond. Versus if it's, how do I just peel a little bit of my drama energy? And I don't want to call it drama, but like the ability for us to dramatize in our mind because something feels so
Yeah.
intense.
So I'm working at a new place called Sedona Mega Retreat in Arizona. And we're on
Yes, I used
173
to.
acres, and it's just beautiful, all these different meditation areas and healing lake and stuff like that. And actually, we're turning my book into a retreat. So it's
Cool.
going to be a 5 or 6 day retreat, and they haven't done that since they've opened, pretty much that I know of, an outsiders retreat. Um,
I love that. It's a 6-week
yeah,
journey, so why not make it a
yep.
6-day so each week
Yes,
is
that
a
we're going
day?
to do
I
here.
see what you're
And we're foundation, so
doing.
it's we're able to cut the costs really dramatically for people. Um, but these in-person things, I'm really, because I went to several and I've talked to several people here and I've watched them. I really like what you're doing with people. That's what I was just seeing, like what you're doing with your client. But when you do these intensive couple days, and you really unpack it like that, I've seen people really change. And I mean, they just get the light turned back on, the inspiration turned back on, the hope turned back on. And I see just the release happening too, because you also have to have that. And that's sort of what you help people do, right? Is guide them to release in a safe environment. And we just need to
Mm-hmm.
create more of those spaces. I don't think, other than therapists with what you
Great.
guys are doing, but there's not really a place you can go to do that. They're not building those places that much anymore. Um, I was just thinking about the Trevor Project because I just heard that Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie, just donated like $75 million to the Trevor Project.
That's
And
amazing. That's so
and
incredible.
I'm just so grateful for people that do that because um, as you and I have discussed many times, suicide ideation and extreme grief and that type of thing is just completely different than um, uh, typical depressions that you as therapists kind of categorize. It doesn't come like it's not here 24/7. But when it pops
No,
up, it's like emergency. So
right.
um, and nobody wants to talk about it. It's
But we will. We're here to talk
it's
about it.
laughter.
It's interesting too because you brought up depression and anxiety and grief. I've been doing some more research lately, and I wish I had done this research before our book, but I wanted to share it with you. And I think it really applies to the people who listen to this podcast, is that there's actually a connection between neurodiversity and
Oh wow.
suicidality. Especially when you look at ADHD, you have the emotional
Okay.
dysregulation. You have with ADHD, sometimes there's an increase in substance use issues, which we both know substance use increases completion of suicide, especially alcohol. The presentation of alcohol, I think, is close to half of the individuals who are performed a proper autopsy are show that they have alcohol in their
Hmm.
system. And then we also when we look at neurodiversity and we're looking at autism spectrum, those who are on the autism spectrum but do not show developmental disabilities are at higher risk
Mm.
because they generally have later identification, heightened masking that they engage in, less kind of structural support if they're not delayed or have
Yeah.
developmental issues, and often also carry the dysregulation piece that ADHD carries. And then we look at high sensitivity and the incredible intersection of all of this. We've got the compassion fatigue, we've got the sensitivity to the world and the pain of the world, which is why meditations like you offer are so important. um, but then we also have the sensory sensitivity when it comes to HSPs. So, not to say having neurodiversity is not a risk factor for suicide. I want to be clear about that. It's not that if you have ADHD, you're likely to be suicidal, but it's if you have ADHD and you are suicidal, or HSP or autistic and you are suicidal, you do carry further risk factors. And if you know someone and you're listening to this who has any form of neurodiversity and has expressed suicidality, it's not impulsiveness. It should be very seriously attended
Oh,
to.
wow. That's really interesting too.
I know. We need to do a new edition of the book.
I can't believe passion fatigue is like a real thing. You always bring up these neat
Mhm.
words that I'm like, oh my God, that is true. Oh my gosh.
Well, compassion fatigue is pretty wild because you can see it physiologically. Like when we're in a state of compassion fatigue, our blood vessels constrict, our muscles get more tightened, like our immune system doesn't work as effectively. Like we actually are in an immunocompromised state when we are in a empathy overload or we're experiencing compassion fatigue. It's a real
I have to
thing.
be so careful with what I
So
consume on social media and stuff like that. I can go down a rabbit hole of,
precisely.
like my thing is animals, if I see that whole thing, I will just not sleep at night and things like that, and or
Yes. Yes. Have you heard of the website Did the Dog Die?
no.
Okay, Gina, you got to share this for anyone who does not know about the Did the Dog Die. It's a great website where you go in and you put in books, music, movies, TV shows, and it gives you a readout, like a chart that will show you any potential trigger that is in that. So it could be everything from if you have a trigger to like bodily fluids or assault or animals getting hurt. It'll give you a without, it doesn't spill the
Yeah.
story of what it is, but it gives you a pre-warning of what to
Oh, I'm so
expect.
grateful for them. I'm so grateful because I've
Isn't that
mentioned this
amazing?
before. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to tell a
Hmm.
lot of people about that. Because
Good.
when I do self-care and say I was in an episode, I think last year, and when they market stuff, it just looks so one way sometimes. And I worked in the entertainment industry for 25 years, so I know what they do, but this one movie was like marketed as sort of a romantic, film, and it was all this couple, and it was really beautiful. And then the character committed suicide, and I just was like I just remember, and I had to turn it off,
Yeah,
and I had to go and self-regulate, and I had because I was just in this space.
right. That's something you should
Yeah, I was in
know,
this space of like,
especially.
oh, they're
Yep.
so in love. They're gonna have a baby. I was just like feeling the vibe of the movie, and then I went in, and I was in the middle of something of my own, and I do remember just like that day was now dedicated to. Luckily, I had the tools and but I remember physically feeling like I got punched. Yes. And you don't
Yeah.
know you're gonna like feel that way exactly. So, oh my gosh, did the dog
No.
die? I can't wait.
Did the Dog Die? It's such a great name too. It's like you can never
Yeah.
forget it.
And you need,
It was one of my neurodiverse clients who really has like strong compassion fatigue a lot. She told me about it, and I am forever
yeah.
grateful for her. I'm so grateful. My clients teach me half the
Oh,
things I know.
that's so wonderful. Thank you for the people that put that together. It's one of those things that, you know, great minds just need to come together, create more tools, and with consciousness and compassion and clarity. And that's like a really good one. That is sort of a simple idea, but really does help a lot of people. So I think that's great. Yeah,
Yes. And it's been around pre-AI. And I say that because it probably used to be a lot of work to keep up with that website. I'm hopeful now they have some
yeah,
sort of tool that makes it easier.
yeah. Yeah, if I had to
You
see
would
a dog die in a
imagine.
film, it would be bad.
Oh, actually, now I'm thinking this might be an interesting question to ask you. And this was so not something. P.S. I didn't even come up with questions for you because I know you so well. I just wanted to have like whatever we were going to talk about is what
Yeah.
was going to come up. How do you feel about people who are feeling alone or like they don't belong or they're suicidal, reaching out for support through AI?
Wow. Well, I don't know. I prefer getting some, reach out to anybody for it. reach out any way you can, and that what works for you 100%. But uh, it's just, it has its limitations, and it's risky because you don't know which way it's going to go. Because from what I know about AI, it's curated based on what we teach it. So it
Right.
doesn't really have even though it has a lot of information, it's a supercomputer, right? It has a lot of information if you need help, finding a book or a resource or something like that. But communicating with it like it's a therapist, I think is actually a little dangerous because, well, it doesn't have the credentials.
True. I'm actually picking up my AI right now because I'm gonna see what it says. I'm gonna say, if I told you I felt totally alone in this world, what would you say to me? Let's see what it says. And this is gonna totally throw it off because I don't normally. I would slow down with you first, not to rush it. I would say, I gently reflect. It's giving me a lot of different questions, but you know what it didn't do?
What?
It didn't ask me if I feel safe. It didn't ask me if I'm
Oh,
suicidal. That's
yeah.
interesting. Now, albeit I do use mine for helping with generating ideas for
Yeah.
trainings and things. So maybe it's thinking, do I go there? Do I take the risk? Let's say, okay, I'm feeling that way right now. I don't know if I feel safe. Guys, I know I'm being really wild with using this during it, but let's see what it says. Oh, it's thinking a little bit more. Thank you for telling me that. I'm really glad you said it out loud. Let's slow down. When it's saying I don't feel safe, I want to check on some important things gently. Can you feel your feet? It's asking me to do some grounding skills. It did. Okay. It did give me the 988 suicide
Okay.
line. 911. I'm here for you. You're not overreacting. You're not weak for feeling this way. Please tell me, are you alone right now, or is this someone physically nearby? This is interesting because I like that it's asking similar, like, I like that it's asking questions, but what just gave me kind of like a creepy back of my neck chills feeling is when it said, I'm here with you,
Oh,
because it felt right. Like it almost felt like I read a terribly sad story about someone who didn't reach out because they were getting everything they needed, they thought. I and then it didn't end
yeah.
well. And so that makes me a little nervous. Like I would almost wish it would dehumanize itself a bit in those moments and say, here's resources, but I really encourage you to reach out for someone rather than I'm here for
Yeah,
you. Huh.
definitely. I mean,
Dang.
you know,
Now I'm gonna have to tell my AI I was just I'm gonna make sure it knows I'm okay,
I'm
but
just testing it. Absolutely. And it's hard because, do you have insurance? Can you afford to go to a therapist? What's
Mm.
nearby, and, different situations and stuff like that. So,
Are you in an unsafe
yeah.
home?
Yeah,
Yeah,
DME. Yeah.
that's
So
so
I think
hard.
that, it's just doing what we've asked it to do. But again, um, there's nothing like a person connecting in someone's eyes, and feeling their vibration, especially with what you do with people all day long. I can't imagine. I would love to be able to walk into your office and see your gentle spirit sitting across from me. I don't think that could be ever replaced. And getting one-on-one human connection is just, especially in these delicate areas. I don't know. That's what changed so much is when, for me, is later on, I did start to see once I started to heal that people were trying to reach out. But when you're in a bad space, it's hard to even see the people that want to be there for you.
You're
Um,
right.
and
Mhm.
then you start to go, oh, they were there all along. In my mind, they weren't uh, being supportive in a way that I could hear it. But actually they were.
Yeah.
And you said, and yeah, I just don't think they'll ever be replaced. Yeah.
Mhm. And I do, when you're talking about access, I know access is a big conversation right now, and there's no need to minimize it as an issue, but I will say when we think about the vagus nerve, for instance, which is really a plays a huge role, if not is completely in charge of whether or not we feel safe. We need vocal tone and facial
Mm-hmm.
expression. And we can get both of those things virtually. I'm not saying I don't prefer in person because I do, but we can get these things virtually. So I urge you, if anyone's listening and you live in an area where there's not a lot of access, or you don't have the means, or there's no one's available, no one's getting back to you, I promise you there's someone out there who does want to get your phone call and does want to help you. So even if they live 6 hours the other direction of your state line, as long as they're in your state line, they can still offer you vocal tone, their voice, and their
Yeah.
face, and the ability to listen. So that is, I think, something that's a good resource. I will absolutely make sure to put all of these different links and resources, things, even just online therapy options in the notes for our session today, because I would love for someone to leave the conversation thinking, I need to do something for myself not to be
Yeah.
alone and not to feel alone.
And community is
Yeah.
just, you know me, it's always been about community, and the tribe and bringing it and coming together. And that's why I love these ideas of building either online or in-person retreats. Like, we need places to go. There's just no replacing it.
Yeah.
I really do love seeing someone feel like where you watch a person and you can see that they've, like, a light bulb was gone off, and you watch them process the emotion and get back into saying, oh my gosh, I've been hurting myself, and I'm actually pretty freaking awesome. I'm wonderful. I belong here. Like, and I got so much to do now. It's like, and that's the whole reason why you and I started writing that book. It was like, we want people to know that they don't have to feel this way for the rest of their lives, that this is something. I always say suicidal ideation can be healed 100.
I was like, I feel like I should grab it. We've been talking about it, and I never showed our other one. Little ASMR nails for this
Oh,
one too. Um, I know they're like hanging out together now. So let me ask you, Gina, as kind of like a party favor gift for the
okay.
episode. If you could pick one, because this one does have lots of beautiful art, it has different journal entries, your
Yeah.
new book. If you could pick one exercise, meditation, your favorite journal prompt, like just one thing from the book that you would love to gift the listeners today, so they can take it with
Okay.
them, what would that
Yes.
be?
So, this is Planet Walking, a Handbook for the Living. It's a 6-week program,
Okay.
towards, like, liberation, and also, to heal suicidal thoughts, if that is something that someone is experiencing. But you don't need to be doing this. One of my favorite things is color flushing, because when you get into a meditative state, which is usually some kind of grounding or running your energy or calling your energy, either in some of our practices in this book or the one that we did before. So you kind of get into a calm place. I love to do something called color flushing, which I imagine just the different colors, like, my body is 100% that color. So, I
I'm gonna close
oh
my eyes and let you
yes.
walk me through
So we'll
it.
do, like, adding this grounding cord and sending it all the way to the center of the earth and making sure it's hollow on the inside, and putting your body on release so you can release anything that's no longer serving you. And you might see people's faces or projects or things that have been making you stuck, or just emotions, and letting that go down. And then we create call in some earth energy into the feet beneath you. Just quickly bringing that earth energy into the feet and around the ankles and the calves and the knees, and all the way up the thighs until that hip area. And then let's call in some cosmic energy from the stars above us and let that fall into the top of our head and into our spine. That beautiful cosmic energy going all the way into the spine. Travel down, down, down into where the earth is and let it connect. And let's merge those two earth and cosmic energies together. And while you're in this meditative state, you can move on, and why don't we do a giant golden sun over the top of your head? And in that golden sun, we're going to ask, bring back all your original life energy, your life force energy, to anyone that you might have given it to or given it away or left your energy, just calling some energy back into your space. And then while that's doing, let's do some color flushing. So let's turn our whole body yellow from the very top of of your head all the way down to the toes. Just imagine your whole body is yellow, bright yellow. Like you're a Tweety bird, bright yellow, bright yellow. Every part of you is bright yellow. And you'll feel a vibration. You will feel that your body has changed to that bright yellow frequency, because all colors hold frequency. And so now let that yellow sort of wash over you, and it might feel uncomfortable for a minute or comfortable depending on what's in your space. But bright yellow is joy, is confidence, is power, is standing in your own ability to stand up for yourself. It's that thing when you feel like nobody's hearing you or feeling you, and you need to stand up for yourself and protect yourself. Flush yourself with this bright yellow. Oh, feeling that power. Oh, yes, I can feel it from the people out there right now. And then drop that yellow down that grounding cord and go back to your natural vibration, your natural coloring. And just sit in that energy. And you can actually color flush all the colors. You can move into different colors. Yeah, I mean, to do green and purple and orange and blue, and they all have a different frequency. And if you're feeling any kind of a way, try to look at, like, why does that color make me feel uncomfortable, and then, just kind of let it fall away, and then get to the point where you're neutral in the color. Yeah.
Right. That's so crazy, because yellow is definitely not like a color I would have gravitated towards. Created a lot of energy, and I think it might be because I'm such a naturally energized person that I probably gravitate towards, like, I really gravitate towards blue and like a very pale green are kind of the colors that I wanted to. I'm like, okay, I hope blue's next. But
Yeah, we didn't have time, but
I'll have to set up a
But in the
segment.
book, it shows you, but like, say, blue is for like communication. And if you are going to be doing podcast, or you gotta write a proposal, or you have to go in front of a speaking, or, flush yourself with the blue. If you want physical healing or emotional healing, use green. If you want
Oh,
to,
that's cool.
if you got to be creative for like a project or like do some brainstorming, use orange. And red is actually to help heal your DNA. Or if you want to start
Oh,
calling in
okay.
passion, like, say, if you're feeling separate, it's like, I don't, feel like doing anything. I feel lazy. I don't feel connected to anything. If you bring in red, it also has passion, like a lot of passion. It'll like really ump the
See that.
passion that you have. And then pink is like for friendship and giggling and really silliness. If you want to get real silly, do the pink. And
What's teal? That's my 5-year-old's favorite
oh, really? Well,
color.
that's like healing and communication. Yeah. So you just kind of like,
Okay, yeah. He's very
yeah.
communicative, so.
So I love the color flushing. For example, also if you see like dark blue, like almost navy blue, that could be like male controlling energy in your space. And what happens is when you're color flushing, wherever you have that stuck energy where that color is, or say that energy is stuck, it'll actually push it out of your space. Yeah.
Okay. If anyone's watching, they're seeing me looking down because I'm now like perusing your whole book. It's so pretty. And I cannot believe first time I've seen like a family photo. That's so wild. Oh, I can't wait to dig. I got to start the book. I did not get a chance to finish it yet because it just came out and I
it's
just
not meant
received it.
for a
So
linear read, kind of. I mean, you could follow it if you're doing the
yeah,
program, and thank you for buying that. It means a lot to me.
of
Please leave a review
course.
if you
Of
get
course. We're always
chance.
gonna support you.
But so other people can see it and stuff. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Agreed.
Thank you.
Gina, I loved sitting down with you again. Big congratulations on your book, your moves, the work in Sedona. We will have to link up for
Yeah.
sure. And thank you for gifting everyone with that beautiful moment. And hopefully they're feeling a bit more
Yeah.
energy, ready to go out yellow.
Right.
So, for anyone who wants to find your book, learn about your retreat, just stay connected to you, where
Yeah,
should
it's
they
just
look?
ginacavalier.com or sedonamagoretreat.org. This is the book, Planet Walking Handbook for the Living. We're going to have an online class that's 6 weeks and a retreat that's 6 weeks. My Instagram is just Gina Cavalier. I answer every one of my DMs. I reach out to me. I'll find ways to get you books or information or resources if you need it. And I just wish everybody, stay here. Please stay here, or encourage other people to stay here. Let's be
Yes.
kinder to each
Please.
other, and recognize that we're just all part of this together. I appreciate you so much and all your work, Amelia, and everybody else. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. It
Me
was so good to
too.
see you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.